Her Excellency, Dame Paulette Luisi, Governor General Emerita of St. Lucia, and patron of the St. Lucia National Trust, Ms. Alison King, Chairperson of the St. Lucia National Trust, Mr. Bhushni Tulsi, Director of the St. Lucia National Trust, councillors, members, and staff of the St. Lucia National Trust. It's my great pleasure as Prime Minister and Minister responsible for the St. Lucia National Trust to address you this afternoon on the occasion of your annual general meeting for the year 2021. It is certainly opportune that I may do so at this time, so shortly after the 2021 general elections, and to share with you my government's desires and intentions for the upcoming term. Like governments all around the world, St. Lucia has committed itself to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Sustainable development, finding balanced development, must be our resolve at a time when we see growing populations, greater demands for better quality of life and resources. The role of conservation organizations like the Lucia National Trust has long been, by their very nature, sometimes at odds with the misplaced desires of quick gratification and unsustainable development. Today, I come to say thank you on behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia for the work you have tirelessly done and to urge you never to give up. As you approach your 50th anniversary in 4 years, I have no doubt that the National Trust's role in developing will appreciate, not deprecate. I have no doubt that the institution will continue its mandate of protecting St. Lucian patrimony for the ages against myopic and recklessness. Sustainable development is deliberate, careful, and studied. It must be knowledge-driven and people-centered. Institutions like the Trust must not be seen as merely a place to hide treasures away where they might be forgotten forever. Your mandate, by its very nature, demands public education. It is strengthened by research. Telling our own story, the Trust is indispensable in helping St. Lucians know and tell their own story as a people and a nation, and sharing that with the rest of the world. A country without an appreciation of itself will quickly deprecate itself. It will forget its traditions. It will destroy its most valuable treasures. It will disfigure its very beauty, both inward and outward. It will become barren and void of soul and purpose. In the past, we have often seen that the Trust has been forced to be controversial in the face of these attempts at depreciation, denigration, and destruction. In these unfortunate moments of our past, the pursuits of greed, self-interest, and partnership took hold, and the Trust became the punching bag of some politicians. We can't afford ever to go back there. If St. Lucians know what treasures they have and appreciate what they have, they will defend it. They will stand by your side and protect it. It is therefore vital that we do all more to educate and arm our people with this self-appreciation. I know that this is easier said than done, and we must all work towards this together. My administration has always taken the first step of righting the wrongs of the past and reinstating the annual subvention for the St. Lucia National Trust. I know the Trust would be desirous of having this done retroactively, but our country finds itself in its most difficult fiscal challenge ever. However, even in the absence of more immediate resources, we must begin planning for the future, and the Trust and other heritage institutions, including the St. Lucia Archaeological and Historical Society, the St. Lucia National Archives, the Monsignor Patrick Anthony Folk Research Center, will be key partners in shaping a heritage-driven economy. One of the great struggles we have had has been in defining our tourism product. St. Lucia's tourism product has been driven by many things. Some may say sun, sea, and sand. Others may say romance and honeymoons. However, at its very core should be heritage tourism. A country's heritage is often what differentiates it. The world's greatest tourism destinations, France, Spain, Egypt, to name a few, are all driven by heritage. Experiential, sustainable, heritage-based tourism must be our aim. The National Trust and other heritage institutions must be the pivot to get that right, indirectly through guiding development, but also directly through management and development of new experiences as well. And there are so many initiatives that I know you wish to see take form and root. Gaining even more out of Virgin Island, your flagship site, through its careful redevelopment. Telling the history of our freedom fighters during the 1790s in places like Mont Fortune, Anse Galette, and Anserie, and Rabot in Soufrière. Reawakening the city of Castries to its cultural heritage through the theoretical lens of the Walcott Brothers and the Walcott Plus project. Maintaining the charm, character, and sense of place of our historic towns, villages, and estates by protecting and promoting our traditional architecture and historic sites. Realizing the dream of a national museum of Point Sabs and Maria Islets along the southeast coast as a national landmark. Protecting flora and fauna like the St. Lucia iguana on the northeast coast. The teaching of history in our schools and having a curriculum infused with culture and creativity, and the list goes on. We could well spend the entire afternoon, no doubt, speaking of the many possibilities of how we can truly sell that tagline, St. Lucia, let her inspire you, and speak of how we might retell and recast the stories of Empress Josephine in Pébouche, Flore Bois-Guillard at La Soucière, and Cécile in Patience. And we will in due course. But for now, I wish to let you know that you have a committed government willing to work with you and the entire heritage ecosystem to achieve balanced, sustainable development for St. Lucia. I can assure you that this Philip J. Pierre government is not about paving paradise to put up a parking lot, nor are we about tearing down historic buildings to put up parking lots, as we recently witnessed just last year. In fact, you need only go to my home at Waterworks Road, and right above my present home, you will see the well-preserved historic home of my parents. I know that balance is possible. I've lived this way all my life, and I know that we can and must achieve the same for our country. We must achieve it in our city. We must ensure it happens at Casaba, at Cap Estate. We must be sure it happens in Soufrière with our Pitons Management Area World Heritage Site. We must ensure it happens with the Queen's Chain, and we must ensure it happens with all our special spaces and places. Let me take this opportunity to assure the members of the St. Lucia National Trust, and by extension, the citizens of St. Lucia, that the government will protect the public interest with respect to all sensitive developments, including carbon development at Cap Estate. In this regard, the Ministry of Physical Development is in constant discussion with the investments of Cabot and will soon be bringing to Cabinet for consideration actions related to conservation of public access to beaches and to the Queen's Chain, protection of the Anse Lavout archaeological site as a place of memory and interpretation, and assuring that existing users will still be granted the enjoyment of this beautiful coastline. We can and must achieve a balance between the interests of investors and that of our people. Putting people first means that we must ensure fair enjoyment of our country. My administration believes in the power of dialogue, consultation, and consensus building. However, such principles, by their very nature, take time. And so I ask you that you bear patience as we try to get this and many other previously vexing national issues right. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it would be remiss of me if I did not pay tribute to Mr. Bishnu Tulsi as he demits office as the Trust Director. For many St. Lucians, Mr. Tulsi has become an iconic individual, emblematic of everything conservation and everything to do with the Trust. For nearly 2 decades, he has held the fort as the Trust Director, and he has done so with honor, humility, courage, valor, distinction, and utmost dedication. He has skillfully held this institution together, and even in the face of what can only be described as belligerence and disrespect in the most recent past by some who held public office. He has stood the test of time and has served the trust and St. Lucia well. Ever more so, the prudent financial management of the trust, led by Mr. Tulsi, putting away reserves from the surpluses of better days for the uncertainty of rainy days, has ensured that the institution has been able to weather the man-made financial storm of subvention zeroing and the ultimately impact of COVID-19 pandemic. On behalf of the government and people of St. Lucia, I thank you, Mr. Tulsi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I also wish the very best to Mrs. Janine Compton Antoine as she takes the helm in 2022. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to future engagements with the St. Lucia National Trust. I urge you to stay true to your mandate. I urge you to gain more members. I may be delinquent in payment of my dues. You must come after me for them. And become, in the eyes of St. Lucians, a treasured institution that has their interests at heart. I urge you to help St. Lucia know her story. Tell her story, her history, her heritage, her patrimony. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you, and may you have a productive and successful annual general meeting.